Get ready for the dictation on the count of 3, 2, 1, start. The farmers' protest in India is primarily focused on the minimum support price MSP for agricultural produce. MSP is a government mandated price that provides farmers with a minimum guaranteed price for their crops, which helps ensure a stable income and protects them from market fluctuations. The farmers are protesting against three new agricultural laws passed by the Indian government in September 2020, which they believe will lead to the dismantling of the current MSP system and leave them at the mercy of large corporations. The laws aim to create a freer market for agricultural produce, allowing farmers to sell their produce directly to private companies without going through government regulated markets. The farmers fear that this will leave them vulnerable to exploitation by private corporations who may offer lower prices for their crops than the government's MSP. The government has argued that the new laws will bring more investment and modernization to the agricultural sector and will ultimately benefit the farmers. The farmers' protests have been ongoing since November 2020 and have attracted widespread support both in India and internationally. The government has held several rounds of negotiations with the farmers, but so far no resolution has been reached. The farmers continue to demand the repeal of the three agricultural laws and the assurance that the MSP system will remain in place. The farmers' protest has become one of the most significant social and political movements in India in recent times, with thousands of farmers camping out on the borders of the national capital, New Delhi, for several months. The protest has also received support from a wide range of other groups, including trade unions, civil society organizations, and opposition political parties. The farmers argue that the new agricultural laws will lead to the exploitation of farmers by large corporations who will have more bargaining power in the absence of government regulations. They argue that the MSP system is essential to provide them with a guaranteed price for their crops and that the new laws threaten their livelihoods and the food security of the country. One of the key demands of the farmers is the repeal of the three new agricultural laws, which they view as a fundamental threat to their economic security. They have also demanded a legal guarantee for MSP and the withdrawal of proposed electricity and pollution bills. The government, on the other hand, has maintained that the new laws will bring more investment and modernization to the agricultural sector, which will ultimately benefit the farmers. The government has argued that the laws will create new markets for agricultural produce and increase the income of farmers. The government has also claimed that the MSP system will remain intact and the laws do not abolish it. The government has held several rounds of negotiations with the farmers, but the talks have failed to yield a resolution so far. The farmers have rejected the government's proposals and continue to demand the repeal of the laws. The farmers' protest has received widespread support from Access the Country and the world. International organizations, including the United Nations, have expressed concern over the treatment of the protesting farmers and have called for a peaceful resolution to the conflict. The protest has also highlighted the deep-rooted inequalities in India's agricultural sector, which has long been marked by poor infrastructure, lack of access to credit, and government apathy. The agricultural sector employs over half of the country's workforce, but it accounts for only about 15% of the country's GDP. The farmers' protest has also exposed the fault lines between the urban and rural communities in India. The urban middle class, which largely supports the government's policies, has been critical of the protest, viewing it as an inconvenience that disrupts their daily lives. However, many people from urban areas have also joined the protest and shown their solidarity with the farmers. The protest has also seen the emergence of new forms of protest, such as the tractor rally and the human chain, which have captured the imagination of the country. The protesters have shown remarkable resilience in the face of police brutality and adverse weather conditions and have maintained a peaceful and non-violent protest. The farmers' protest has become a symbol of resistance against the neoliberal economic policies that have dominated India's politics in recent years. It has challenged the government's attempts to liberalize the agricultural sector and has provided a platform for farmers to voice their concerns and assert their rights. In conclusion, the farmers' protest in India is primarily focused on the minimum support price (MSP) for agricultural produce. The farmers are protesting against the three new agricultural laws passed by the Indian government in September 2020, which they believe will lead to the dismantling of the current MSP system and leave them at the mercy of large corporations. The protest has become one of the most significant social and political movements in India in recent times, with widespread support both in India and internationally. The protest has also exposed the deep-rooted inequalities in India's agricultural sector and has challenged the government's neoliberal economic policies.